Chase group includes the likes of Mary Van Sevenen from the Coining Quick-Step squad, Pernsteiner and Wright there for Bahrain Victoria, Sergio Cimintio Serrano for the Movistar squad, Omar Frail is riding well for the Astana team. Kroon, we got a sign up at the back of the group a moment ago for Lotte Soudal. Here Roger Latour, fine climber for Total Direct Energy. Leknesund from the Team DSM squad. So surprising many and impressing indeed in equal measure. Down to the final 12 kilometers, and it's down to 49 seconds. And that group, of course, is swelled in size. They've put the chasers have arrived from the climb and on the descent, and the bigger and the heavier and the stronger riders have arrived to put their shoulder to the wheel. So it's a tenuous advantage for David de la Cruz, and it's a long enough winch through to the finish line, more than 10 kilometers of climbing before he gets through to the conclusion of today's activities. So that's advantage still. Well, it's starting to rise a little bit, but these riders, or at least the riders in Group 2 on the road, this is Group 3, this is the main peloton, being led still to their delight by the Team Ineos Grenadiers squad. Down at the back, looking anxiously over his shoulder, is Tijmen Arensman, the Dutchman, Domenico Pozzovivo. Close to the back of the group, but still in position. The Team Quebec Assos rider, 10th overall. I make that 9th actually. 9th overall at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. He's another one of those riders that was elevated by the departure from the fray, departure from the event just before the start today. He used Lucas Hamilton, who we understand is set to ride to general classification at the Tour de France for the Team Bike Exchange squad. Young Aussie climber is going to be given something of a free role and his own opportunity to explore GC in Tour de France. So that's a little bout of gastroenteritis. We hope he recovers from that quite quickly. It doesn't prevent him from getting his full performance out in France in a few weeks' time. Carl Murphy and I think Pierre Roger Latour just dangling off the back of this chase group. We still are 48 seconds back. Within touching this, the attacks are coming, so we really want to see this. So the attacks are coming from the chase group behind. The counter attacks, as you would have expected, are starting to mount, because that is within touching distance for these riders of getting back on terms with David de la Cruz. They've played their cards nicely, still not there just yet, and it's coming down in chunks. Less than 40 seconds now for de la Cruz, who's within 250 meters of taking another haul of points that are going to carry him relatively close, but not to, I think, the lead of the mountains classification. That's of little consequence, I think, to de la Cruz. One stage honours today, and it's a group of 3 that have mounted an assault for glory today. Is this right? Oh, Pernsteiner. Right, in actual fact. I'll hook there as well. And EF Education Hippos, well, yet to be confirmed. I think it could be Jonas Rutsch. Through and past the King of the Mountains point for David de la Cruz. And if you thought that's all the climbing got for the day, well, it's the worst of it. It still kind of rises up through to... It levels off significantly with about 1,100 meters remaining. But until then, he's still going up. Albeit it's a relatively shallow gradient, and we're going to be seeing the big ring. Chasers at a remove now of just 25 seconds. So for David de la Cruz, he's looking a little bit leg weary now, and there's still plenty of fight in that chase group behind. Paulus, of course it is, and it was Pernsteiner. Clear of the rest, and 3 have come back over. Meanwhile, De La Cruz has got another one of those infuriating little drags, not classified, but very painful nonetheless, and coming at the worst possible time. He'd have been aware of them from the road book at the beginning of the day, but still just wishes the gradient would ease a little bit and he could get the strength to take them home, get his hands in the air. You wouldn't bet it right now, would you? 27 seconds is a tenuous advantage. Tall Hope has really laid the power down. Andreas Kroon at the back of the group here for Lotto Soudal just has a little look over his shoulder. Fabro just in front of him for the Bora Hansgrohe squad. Super pick perhaps for honours today. He got a sprint. Well, Roy Costa, who was absolutely furious that he wasn't able to contest 4 stage honours into Laeken on day 2 in the rain. He made his feelings on the subject known in the most graphic of ways. He has made it into this little group here. So as they come back to David De La Cruz, he's in perfect and prime position to benefit. Rule out. Nice canny little late attack from the former world champion. Won his world championship with a canny late attack, didn't he? And that's little counter attack looks like it could be coming back together again. So the rest, as the gradient eased a little bit, have managed to make their way back up to Tolhoek, Hernsteiner, Roy Costa and the rest. So Costa just gives a little flick because he's not going to ride through. Eddie Dunbar gets on the blower back to the team car. What's the situation? What's the update? Well, the situation is there are still 4 riders to assist Richard Carapaz into the back end of this stage, and it's looking like and Fabro goes from the chasers down to 18 seconds to De La Cruz. Paulus, I believe it is, that's got to try and close this one down. That's Paulus, of course, the only representative of the team EF Education Nippo in this chase group. American rider based in California these days, born in Florida. Kroon into 3rd position and the gap down to 12 seconds, and with fully the thick end of 8 kilometers remaining, it's hard to imagine that De La Cruz is going to hang on at this point. Through descent is, and at the other side towards Cedrun. It's been a busy day of racing here on Tour de Suisse. We're down to the final 7.5 kilometers. He's going to take some bonus seconds and points towards the points competition as well. Not that they're of any great consequence or interest to David De La Cruz. He looks pretty much out on his wheels at this point. Brave attack with 9 kilometers remaining of the second Category 1 ascent of the day. The Luc Manier pass, all 18 and seriously demanding kilometers on it. De La Cruz breaking out for glory at one stage, had an advantage of well over 1.5 minutes on this large chase group behind. He's all the strongest riders from a group of approaching 40 that were clear of the main peloton for much of the day. Richard Carapaz still safely in that main peloton and now inside 3 minutes in arrears of the lead of the race. Down to 8 seconds. He's coming back and he knows it at this point. Question is, who's going to be first to get to him? Still the attacks coming from Bahrain Victorious behind. At the back of the group is watching to see where the next attack is coming from, and Well, they're at 6 and 7 0. Mark Ryan wants to try and jog up and around Antoine Tolhoek, who recognises the danger. Paulus is having to close gaps and pretty much everyone, and he's still hanging on out there. You know what? I mean, he's desperately looking for some assistance from the gradient, but this could be an opportunity for a tiny bit of recovery. They're coming up to him, but it's just two riders coming over. It looks like Bernsteiner is just about to make the junction and be the first man up to David de la Cruz. His time out front comes to an end. Brave effort. But now you've got two UAE Team Emirates riders up front because Rui Costa is starting to tighten his shoes, and for the first time you can think about not so much covering the attacks of others, but starting to think about his own chances of glory. And David de la Cruz will empty the tank here just to get into the slipstream of his teammate to ensure that if he can possibly give him just one last dig, he'll recover as best he can. Is that Fabro coming over? Looks like the rider absolutely charging across the gap, trying to take every advantage of a momentary bit of slipstream from one of the supporting motorcycles. He'll take anything wherever you get at this point, but he's just a handful of seconds down on the riders out front. Meanwhile, Paulus, Tolhoek, and Omar Frail trying to get on terms with that rider from Movistar. Roger Latour has some work to do. And he arrives up onto the tail of Nielsen Paulus. Come on, Nielsen! Come on! Just over 5k to go. There's a few fans of the American rider in Switzerland today to support his efforts to get back on terms with the leaders. Bernsteiner is holding nothing back, and de la Cruz just can't quite stay there, and that tells you this gradient is cruel and unforgiving. It's just up and up and up all the way to about 1,100 meters from the line, and that's a long way to go. De la Cruz not giving up on it just yet. Still lies third on the road. There's daylight to the rest. If he can possibly get back on, he could be of some assistance to Rui Costa. But Bernsteiner's not even looking around, is he? He's just riding up this hill as hard and as fast as he can and hoping against hope that it produces a little bit of a separation between himself and the UAE Team Emirates rider. Meanwhile, a quartet now of chasing riders. What's the distance back? Well, it's minimal. They've picked up that Movistar rider. Bernsteiner's looking for a dig from Rui Costa. Kron has made the distance. It wasn't Fabro, it was Kron from the Lotto Soudal squad. So now it's a trio up front. De la Cruz has been left to his own devices at the road. And indeed, de la Cruz caught passed by this group as well, I think, at this point. The Movistar rider is Serrano. And now Rui Costa gives Bernsteiner a turn. Kron will be given an opportunity, I think, to recover for another moment, but he looks as if he's got the legs. He's able to chat away, so he'll ride through. And it's three very committed, very focused, very motivated riders that have an advantage over the rest. Meanwhile, Richard Carapaz still with plenty of teammates in front of him, and naturally enough, Mount second overall in the bike race, second to him in yesterday's stage. He's riding immediately in his slipstream. The overall race leader will be content and satisfied with the way that the race has gone for him today. Haven't been too many challenges to his position. 26 seconds. No bonus seconds to be scooped from that yellow jersey group. They'll be satisfied indeed that the bonuses are going to be all hoovered up by riders up the road. Bernsteiner is roaring and shouting. He's got the yellow dots, the yellow numbers on his back because he was judged the most aggressive or the most active rider in yesterday's stage. Pretty active again today as well. 4K to go for these riders. A handful of seconds behind. Can't be more than 10. Paulus has to be mindful of the efforts made of others and just rides into the wake. And they're a flat chat here, but Antoine Tolhoek just rides through and straight off, so no big dig from him. Paulus is happy enough to let the Dutchman fill the hole there. Serrano replaced by Omar Fraile, his fellow countrymen. Two Spanish riders in here in the chase group. A Dutchman, a Frenchman, and an American. All with 15, 16 seconds to find to get on terms and get back in the fight for stage honours. Be nothing held back, and I don't think there'll be too much held back by the three up front either. We've got ourselves a little 5 versus 3 team time trial fight to the end with just over 3 kilometers remaining. Bernsteiner's super motivated here. He's crouches low over the bars, cuts a fairly small hole in the wind, doesn't he? A little look at the attack coming from Paulus. I was half expecting that one. He allowed Tolhoek, didn't he, to fill that gap a little while ago. Just wanted to recover ever so slightly, just for a moment. And he's forced a split. Fraile was alive to the danger here. Will Omar Fraile be a standard squad in the blue colours ride around Nelson Paulus, or will he just, well, he rides around, but Tolhoek it is that's ever to cover that one. And that could affect the cooperation between these riders in their bid to get back on terms. Inside 3 to go for your leaders out front. Can't be much more than 100 meters, well, maybe 150 at this kind of pace between the 3 up front and the 5 behind. And once more, it is 5. Brave bid. Of course, now they spread wide across the road, wondering where the next attack's coming from. Could be coming from Serrano. You're going to wind up. Costa is watching and watching and watching. These are friends and foes in equal measure right now. We're that close to the finish line. They can smell the whitewash. They're starting to believe. And only first really counts. Third are pretty useful points towards World Tour, and they're useful on the Palmares, but the one remembers the winner. And here comes the attack from Armin Bernsteiner. You knew there was no way he could conceivably go to the line and bring these riders with him. But Rui Costa, from the front of that 3-rider group, never distanced by more than a bike length. Bernsteiner's effort there, just showing, I think, that he's a little bit leg weary. Didn't have the strength to even get more than a couple of bike lengths, if even that, on Rui Costa. Immediately fixes that one. Bernsteiner you wouldn't bet on for the gallop. He's a better sprinter between Krohn and Rui Costa. Well, who knows? Could be Bernsteiner. I'm assuming it's between these 3. There can be no cat and mouse. That little attack from Bernsteiner, when he knows that having done it, he needs to go straight to the front and really put in a big dig to, once more establish the confidence of the others that he will continue to ride. 1,600 meters remaining, and things will start to level out a little bit. Just starts to ease a little bit from now through the line. Elbows ring. Took his victory in a 4-up gallop, so he can certainly sprint from the small group. Counter-attacks coming from behind. Tolhoek it is now that's trying to draw clear and bringing Omar Fraile with him. I think that could be Hofstetter, but I'm going to just have a little look at it. It's absolutely remarkable. First time we've had a really good look at the numbers. Ugo Ull, I should say. I say Hofstetter. Ugo Ull. And I want to just apologise. Absolutely fabulous performance. I've been saying that it's Omar Fraile for a while, but actually it's the Canadian Ugo Ull. So what a fantastic performance by him today. 7 on the stage at Tour de France last year, and Hugo Hull is in prime position for a very fine finish here, but he's not surely going to get up to get on terms with these riders, and Pernsteiner it is. He's going to get the dubious honour of leading this one out. More shoe tightening going on from Roy Costa. They're going to give up much of their advantage here if they're not careful. When do they think about launching? Inside 500 metres to go. They're coming from behind. Hugo just might get a chance to battle for stage honours today. Pernsteiner's going to wind it up. Doesn't want to give up on a top 3 finish. I think has that sinking feeling really, and has done the attack a little while ago. Maybe feels the responsibility of leading this one out. Inside 300 to go. Kroon sitting on his left shoulder, and Roy Costa is going to go first here. Costa launches. It's Roy Costa that's going to go for the long one, relatively long one. He takes Kroon over to the barrier. Kroon is coming around him, and who got it? Well, we're not absolutely sure. And the battle for honours behind is within a handful of seconds, a handful of bike lengths even of the rest. But stage 6 has been decided. Who's it been decided in the favour of? We wait for full confirmation of the finishing order across the line, but that one went down to the photograph. Superb finish to a great day of racing. David Dela Cruz out front for most of the day. Andreas Kroon looked like he might be celebrating, but I think that Roy Costa might just have hung on for that one. He took a moment before he put his hand up. What a great conversion. Fabro coming in next. We wait for the arrival, of course, of the general classification group at a remove of approaching 3 minutes. Well, an unusual sprint, wasn't it? The way there was no huge exultation from the lead too. I think as much because it was a little bit doubt among them, but the camera picks out the former world champion, 3-time winner of this race in the past, Roy Costa, who has produced the result for the UAE Team Emirates. Sprinting for minor honours behind. They'll be coming in for a while from those that large group that are out front for much of the day. Frustration for some, but I think maybe contentment from all that they've given their all. So sitting at 1:45 seconds now completed of the day for those for the winning rider. As Roy Costa will be escorted to podium duties very shortly. Meanwhile, we await the arrival of the yellow jersey group. Roy Costa getting the win from Andreas Kroon. That's confirmed at this point, and we turn our attention to the arrival of the yellow jersey group behind, led by numerous teammates from the Ineos Grenadiers squad. Job done, another one out of the way, and Ron Dennis is going to leave the main bunch home. Less than 3 minutes behind the winner on the day. And for Roy Costa, after his disappointment on day 2 and his wonderful performance on the run into this event, of course, he took a victory in the GP Canton Argo, approaching this event. Just as the camera switched, you got to immediately gone up and over Kroon. He launched first from the shoulder. It was almost like the sprint started with 3 riders beside each other. Started relatively late on. Pernsteiner knew he was never able to compete with those kind of fast twitchers. Costa starts to take Kroon across to the barrier, but left plenty of room. I don't think there'll be any. Well, I think he might actually have been starting to complain a little bit, but I think Costa went as long a route as Kroon did. I mean, he left a couple of bike lengths, didn't he? Bike widths even. The minute he went left, he immediately went back right, and there was plenty of room. So I don't think there's going to be any case to answer there. We wait the decision of the commissars. I'm not sure if they're going to consider that one. No doubt about the man first across the line. Costa Kroon didn't, his progress wasn't delayed in any, he didn't stop pedaling for a moment. Continue to put the intensity into the pedals. Not happy with the way that Roy Costa played that one. He started to move to the left and then immediately reacted as he realized Kroon was coming around that way. And Rich Carapaz has already made to the hot seat. He owns that one. Costa knows what it's like to be an overall race winner in this event, 3-time winner. Debate will rage long into the night in the Lotus Soudal bus and maybe one or two other places as well. Well, Costa celebrating.
Eine Dickmeldung mit. Ich werde dich informieren, wenn das gleiche Interview live.
Great delivery from the UAE Team Emirates, having David de la Cruz out there all day, allowed Roy Costa to follow in the wheels, has good legs, as we knew. And there's a confirmation of the finishing order. Roy Costa getting the victory in that 3-up sprint ahead of Andreas Kroon and Hermann Pernsteiner. Gonzalo Serrano getting up for fourth on the day ahead of Latour. Hugo Uhl, his fine performance for the Astana squad, nets 6th place ahead of Nielsen Paulus, Antoine Tolok, Matteo Fabro and Andreas Leknesund. Get a look at this one again as it kicks off. I think Costa might have expected really that the well, mind you, he'd moved over to the right hand side, hadn't he? Might have expected that anyone coming around him would be coming from the right hand side. I don't think Kroon's progress was in any way inhibited or delayed by Costa's move, and if he did make it a slightly longer route to the line, well, he made it just as long for him as he did for Kroon. Costa right to back his sprint.
By the field system for the Swiss.
That's a welcome World Tour success for the 34-year-old from Portugal. Overall winner of this race in 2012, 13 and 14. Of course, in the middle of that run, he took a famous World Road Race Championship success, career-defining stuff for him in Florence in 2013. Three-stage wins in the Tour de France in the past as well. Here's the overall rankings, no change at the top. Richard Carapaz continues to lead by 26 seconds. Max Schachmann at 38, Alaphilippe at 53. Uran Woods, of course, is up to 6th as a result of the departure of Lucas Hamilton. Oman, Esteban Chavez, Domenico Pozzovivo in the top 10. And Roy Costa has actually moved up and into the top 10 as a result of his exploits in the break today. Celebrations all round from the riders as they make their way in, and we await the podium ceremonies, the COVID-approved ones that they present to us these days. Fantastic images from the mountains around the valley. Sylvain Dillier made it into the lead group. Eddie Dunbar will be wearing that young rider's jersey again. It's a visiting podium, I think, waiting for the young Irishman, as indeed there is for Richard Carapaz. And Julian Alaphilippe, relatively quiet birthday for him. Might just sneak a slice of cake later on. He gave it a go, didn't he? Trying to get into the move. There for a while, but that break was going nowhere while he was in it. Alex Howe is among those riders coming in chase groups now. US national champion. A bit like Gavin Mannion in that group as well.
Hai llegado, he visto que has llegado con tu segundo, ¿no? ¿Quién? ¿Tú? Entonces el segundo es el grupo detrás. Llegamos en tres. Ah, ganó el sprint. Se había llegado solo. No. Había todavía mucho, ¿sabes?
So a couple of representatives of the U18 member squad are going to be asked to take part in the podium celebrations and ceremonies very shortly. I suspect that Tommy De La Cruz is the, if not the most active rider, maybe it may well have picked up one of the other gongs to go with it. There's no point putting that jersey on, Richard. It's warm enough up here, so I don't think the riders will be too concerned about staying warm after that sustained period of activity. Yellow jersey to go with that, and we lost the minds in the darkness of an Ecuador flag or a Colombian flag. They wear the same colours, not too much difference between them. I think it's an Ecuador flag, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Eddie.
Good job done.
You feel good then?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, listo.
Eddie. The presentation jersey has been suitably emblazoned with the team colours of Richard Carapaz. Follow Roy Costa onto the podium very shortly as we the battles to come. We've got two tough stages left, so good job done today by Ineos Grenadiers, but they've got it all to do again tomorrow and again on Sunday. Sunday's a bit of a doozy as well. Alteration to that stage profile as a result of the lingering snow in the Alps here. For all that though, no passage over the Forca Pass. And the Grimsel Pass as well is also forward to combat, but tomorrow's stage is not in any way affected. We've got our stage running from Descentus Cedron to Andermatt. It's like heading back to today's starting town from here, only going the short way. Going the short way means they've got to go over the Oberalp Pass, 1.5 kilometre assault at 6.5%. It's a grippy one. One for the man to go to feel. Complicated technical descent as well for the riders to work their way down. We'll have that time trial for you tomorrow. I think it's going to be a very interesting time trial, actually. It's a mountain time trial with a big descent in it. It's challenging in every sense. It's going to ask a lot of skill as well as athletic ability from the riders.
In der Gesamtwertung ist. Das heißt, jetzt hätte bereit machen, der Daumen geht hoch und hier in Tirol feiern wir den Leader der diesjährigen Tour de Suisse. Hier kommt Richard Carapaz.
There's your overall race leader. For some reason, he's first up, but they're going to get the yellow jersey ceremonies complete. And Richard Carapaz has already got his jersey. Now he just goes and snaffles the flowers and the rather elegant little trophy to go with it. Successive day in yellow for the Ecuadorian, the 28-year-old. On the cusp of glory. Well, he's got, as I say, 2 tough days to negotiate before he can defend that championship on behalf of his squad. Colombian Egan Bernal took the victory a couple of years ago and went on to win the Tour de France. Can Richard Carapaz do the same? He's got 26-second advantage over Jakob Fuglsang, Max Schachmann at 38 seconds. Julian Alaphilippe just under a minute back in 4th ahead of Uran Woods, Oman, Chavez, Pozzovivo. And now Rui Costa slips into the top 10.
So, dann wird wohl keine Entscheidung. Es bleibt spannend, aber wir machen weiter. Wir gehen.
I'm just wondering whether there isn't just a bit of a conversation in the judges' cabin about this finish. We haven't yet seen the appearance of Rui Costa on the winner's podium. Normally, the sequence would be the stage winner followed by the overall race leader. No contest as to who's the overall race leader. So I wonder if there isn't just a little bit of an official debate here, and that has led to a bit of a delay in the decision of who's on the stage. Let's find out now who's next.
The best young profi, best young rider, Dunbar.
The man from Cork in Munster, up with the Racing Turk Racing Club, propelled into the World Tour with Team Ineos Grenadiers, and now the leader of the Best Young Rider competition. Did a great climbing job for Richard Carapaz so far this week, and Eddie Dunbar will carry that young rider jersey into tomorrow's stage. Andreas Leknesund, as a result of his great efforts today, climbs and races to within 11 seconds of the lead of that competition. Nilsson Paulus is 3rd, formerly having led it just under 2 minutes back. Krun also made some inroads today. First 10 covered by 17.5 minutes. Right today from Fred Wright as well. Mary Van Sevenant up the road. Andreas Krun, as we saw. Mark Hirschi gave it a swing.
Der Etappe genauso wie der Etappensieger mit dem Patronat von Super Sapiens.
Fan clubs all over Switzerland. They're from all over Switzerland, aren't they? You know, fan club members in every town and village dotted around the 26 cantons of Switzerland.
In der Schweiz. Gotthard und ja, der Daumen geht hoch. Wir haben einen neuen Leader der Bergpreiswertung mit dem Patronat von Genesis. Er kommt aus Bella Italia. Complimenti Antonio Nibali.
So leader of the King of the Mountains competition. That has changed. And Antonio Nibali of the Trek Segredo squad. Very impressive and opportunistic move into the early break of the day. He scampered up the top of the Gotthard Pass and took the top points on offer. So the younger, the less well known of the two Nibali brothers has something to celebrate. A visit to the podium. Former stage winner in Tour of Austria. Antonio Nibali now with a 5-point advantage over David de la Cruz, the lone solo breakaway hero. Sergio Samiti has moved up in the break a couple of days in a row. He's benefited from that within 5 points of the lead of that competition. Esteban Chavez has slipped down the order, as indeed as Gavin Mannion. So it's all going to come down to the final day of action. And it could well be that we've got a GC favourite that could be involved in scooping some points there, but it's odds on certain that Antonio Nibali will be trying to get into an early break on Sunday afternoon. We'll have that entire stage for you, by the way. It runs from 12:25 local, not sure where that is, wherever you are, 12:25 here in Switzerland, through to its conclusion. Back in the wars to bring him home. This is Concha, of course, who was in the wars earlier on today. He's had a tough day out. He's well ahead of Broom. At least I don't see the Broom wagon anywhere close to him, so I don't think he's far from the last man in, but he's... actually, I think he's been in a while. He's just working his way back to his team bus, and he needs some... needs a little bit of a care and attention from the Soigneur. He's earned dinner tonight. Been a busy day today, hasn't it? 130 kilometers. They knew it was going to be a fast start. It was very, very busy early on. And up and over the first climb, the Gotthard Pass dispensed with. Antonio Nibali taking the 12 points on offer there. We had a group of approximately 40 riders that made their way clear of the field, made the junction with the riders up front, and that from those riders would emerge the stars that would duke it out for stage honours today. Second of three climbs was the Lupmanier Pass, by which time David de la Cruz had race clear. Michael Matthews took the first sprint of the day. And David de la Cruz up and over the fearsome 18-kilometer ascent of the Lupmanier Pass. And at this moment, it looked reasonably good from 1 minute 20-second advantage over the best of chasers behind. Was at that point Nielsen Paulus. David de la Cruz would ultimately be retained by the rest. It was a brave effort, but within 7 kilometers of the finish line, despite taking the final intermediate sprint, for what that was worth, the Spaniard was pretty much out on his wheels. Strength had ebbed away, and he was to be replaced at the front by, among others, his teammate, Roy Costa, coming up with Hermann Pernsteiner. Pernsteiner in the red/orange colours of Bahrain victorious. UE Team Emirates, briefly at any rate, with two up front. Roy Costa, though, with the fresher legs. was in prime position when they came to what was a 3-up gallop for stage honours. Andreas Krun behind Pernsteiner. So Roy Costa at the back will be the first rider to launch well within 150 metres of the line. Costa took Krun to the fence but gave him room. Still the subject of some debate, I fear. Still yet to make an appearance.
Andreas Krun, congrats to your win. It's the biggest one in your young career so far.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's my second win this year and second World Tour win. And it's amazing. I had a hard period after Vuelta Catalunya where I had to abandon to illness and was sick in 2 weeks and was really hard to come back and then I had some good days the first days, and then yesterday I had a really hard day and was really disappointed that miss out in the GC after my team worked so good for me the last days, and it's so nice to give something back to all the riders, so it's for the team.
The jury disqualified Rui Costa. There are still discussions going on. How did you see his sprint?
Yeah, I think we'll always be discussing about it, like something like that happen. Some guys say, he don't go so much. In my opinion, we start the sprint in the right and we end up in the left. And that's just what I can say. I think I also need to see the sprint by myself. But we can say the UE have taken the decision, and I trust the UE, and I'm the winner. That's I'm happy for.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you have it. That's the first that we heard of it here. The timing screen still showing Rui Costa as having taken the victory. Certainly first across the line, but let's get a look at this again. The jury have clearly decided that this little movement from Rui Costa was illegal and impaired the progress of Andreas Krun, who immediately protested at the finish line, and the jury have agreed with the assessment and the analysis of Krun. So he has been adjudged the winner of the stage. Congratulations to him.
Skandinavien angereist für das Team Lotto Sudal unterwegs auf den.
Rather than so Rui Costa really will be pretty whiffed after stage 2. He'll be even more annoyed after that one. But he's a bit late putting the hand up, wasn't he, to celebrate? He wasn't absolutely ecstatic. He was like, thank you for the hand up, because maybe he thought as well that he could be in a bit of trouble. Well, finally we have someone presented to the polite and patient crowd here at the Central Cedron. Victor on the stage, and the big key going to Andreas Krun. Young Danish rider with Lotto Sudal. He's 23 years of age on Albertslund. Revision of the positions, and according to that graphic, they're saying that Rui Costa goes second, so they put him behind Krun but still ahead of Pernsteiner. So there was he was in that group. There was a time gap to Pernsteiner, so just reverse positions. Costa, it will matter not to him really. Second or third, I think, is of little consequence. He wanted to win. The points leader for another day of asking to the podium to collect this black jersey for the first time, I think, in actual fact, is Stefan Biseger. It was held, wasn't it, by Matthew van der Poel, who was forced to retire, picked up a little bit of a cough and a sniffle overnight as a result of his very intense efforts in the mountains yesterday. A couple of wet days as well. Van der Poel's gone home. Biseger has a fairly narrow lead in that points competition. Claudio Imhoff perhaps will be another man looking for a run up the road. Krun now has moved into third place. Catania, who time trials well, but maybe won't climb as well as the leading climbing superstars, is also in touching distance in the leading competition. David De La Cruz makes it at least one U18 Emirates rider through to the podium. I'm a bit sheepish about this one, but you know what? He's certainly earned it. The most active rider. Fabulous effort from the Spanish rider. Just ran out of gas a little bit with that long drag up to the finish line. Manages a smile, but might be a somewhat subdued atmosphere in the UE Team Emirates bus after that Commissar's decision. Let's remind ourselves once more of the overall standings. Rui Costa's still sitting in 10th, of course. Is that a revision based on the fact that rather than getting 10 bonus seconds, he got 6? I'm not 100% sure. Not sure how much difference it would make at any rate. Suffice to say, it's a minor story. Major story is that Richard Carapaz, in terms of GC at any rate, retains the overall race lead. Let's remind ourselves of the images of another great day of racing in Tour de Suisse. That was today.
Europatouren surfar vidare till glamorösa Kalifornien. Se en av världens största och mytomspunna golftävlingar. En chans att skriva in sig i historieböckerna.
I've been dreaming of this moment since I was 10 years old.